We have it.
Okay, 5:31, we'll call our meeting to order. Stand for the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Miss Amby, would you call the roll, please?
John Condon.
Here.
Jason McConnell.
Here.
Jason Tarno. Gary Tilson.
Here.
Kevin Lawrence.
Here. Okay, next order of business is our minutes from March 19th, 2026 meeting. I did catch a correction ahead of time after I had already sent you the packet with the previous minutes in it, and Amy did a correction for us. So you should have a new set just fresh off the printer.
If you're looking for a motion to support that, minutes, we'll do that.
I'll second it.
You're gonna make you talk about it.
No, for discussion purposes, what I caught is the original set of minutes did not have the motion for the planning commission to recommend the ordinance. That line got left off, so I had her go back in and edit it to make sure that the motion that was read that we voted on was included in the minutes. Other than that, I personally didn't see anything wrong with them, but I wanted to get that correction done so we had a good set to look at prior to taking a vote on. Just for the sake, that would be under 9B on the discussion and action on the ordinance, and you'll see at the very, if you got the old copy, at the very bottom of page 1, it's got the motion to recommend township board for consideration of the ordinance. Any further discussion? Need a few more minutes to look them over? Nope. Okay, all in favor of the minutes as presented, say that by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Our minutes are approved. Changes to the agenda. Anybody got anything they want to add? Discussion tonight? No? Okay, we'll move on. Public comments on agenda items only. 3 minutes per person. We have one person that can comment for us.
Nothing.
No comments? We'll close public comments. Okey dokey. Old business. This is our biggie. Battery energy storage systems. I think Gary's got some updated language here for us. It would be
I'm assuming you've all read it.
today's date,
Well, that's,
and B2 is at the top. You've got the proper.
Version 2 dated April 9th, 2026.
version 2. Okay.
I'm gonna make it easy for you. As I number my pages, I did number those. So you'll have to do it the old fashioned way, cheating. Okay. In the last meeting, there was a lot of good discussion on the topic, and I received a lot of input that I wrote down. And I think I have captured all of it. So what I want you to do is just follow along so that have a pretty fluid process here. And as I recite these things, it'll come back to your memory from our last meeting that it was suggested that I would put it in. So let's start on page 1. Go down just below the middle section. We were had discussion about the difference, what's a type 1 and a type 2. Type 1 being more residential and light commercial. We at the cutoff, which is right in the ballpark, of pretty common of 600 kilowatts. Under 600 kilowatts being type 1, which is what you would have on a shopping mall or a farm or something like that. And then greater than 600 kilowatts is type 2, which would be commercial industrial. So if you remember, we had that discussion, so that's in there. Okay. Go to page 2. Page 2 had no changes. And it's the same. There wasn't anything in there that we discussed. Go to page 3. On page 3, near the top, there's A, B, C, and D. And we had talked about all of the federal, state organizations, associations that do regulatory compliance. That would, this project would fall under the umbrella of many of them. So in our discussion, we wanted to make sure that we captured all of them. So if you go to D, I put in there, certified under the applicable electrical, building, and fire prevention codes as required, including but not limited to NFPA 855, NFPA 70, NFPA 72, IEEE 1547, International Fire Code, IFC Chapter 12, and Michigan Building Codes and Fire Code. And that was based on our discussion to make sure that because there's a lot of tentacles on this project and there's a lot of regulations that they have to adhere to. So I wanted to capture all of them in one section.
Yeah, looks good. That looks good.
If you go down a couple inches below that, you'll see the number 5. And this is a section I added. It's titled Additional Expenses Related to Permitting. We had a 15-minute discussion in the last meeting about the difference between taxpayer liability when a project is taken on inside of a township, imposed or wanted or unwanted. There's work that has to be done. So I put in there, based on our discussion, the township will require independent professional engineering, legal, environmental, and construction inspection resources throughout permitting and construction. The best operator must fund an escrow account in the amount of $100,000 to fund the expenses related to these professional resources. The operator must replenish the escrow account if funds are depleted prior to the end of construction in an amount deemed necessary by township officials. So that's consistent with our discussion, and that's consistent with the fact that when you're doing a project like this, and I did projects all over the world, it's very common to have a parallel organization, oversight body that's, call it work in tandem. It's a set of eyes, okay? So we're not experts in all the things on such a large project, and we have to hire them. The taxpayers of Thetford Township should not have to bear that expense. The operator bears that expense, so we have to hire professional resources, professional engineers, professional construction management companies. There's an expense associated with that. We want an escrow account that's funded in advance so that when we deem necessary to hire those resources to do that work, it's paid for.
And that's common practice.
Yes.
Okay. Yep, that's perfect. Okay.
I got one question, Gary. And it goes back to something I picked up on solar panels too. Would it be more prudent to have the township may require? That way it does open the door for our local inspectors for anything that is within their area of expertise. I've noticed.
That may be the resources, and that may be within their job guidelines, and that may be within their ability on their schedule to do. But here again, it may not. This, I don't have to change the word to may, we will.
Okay.
It might be you, and you might say, I'll do it for free, or I have time to do it. It might be the fire inspector, and he says, yeah, an extra 5 hours a week, for the next 18 months, I can fit that into my schedule. But he may not. He may say, for the next 18 months, I've got to put on a part-time fire engineer or something like that to do this. So that, I was pretty careful about that word, because we may have within Vienna or Thetford Township the resources to do it, or we may have to have short-term temporary additional resources. But then remember, that also includes attorneys, engineers, construction engineers, and those kind of things.
Okay.
I think that word's okay. I can change it. I thought about may, but we will. It's
okay.
There's no chance a project that size isn't going to require additional resources.
Okay, I like that. I really don't want to see it take the word independent out, but I didn't want to short any minor inspections that could be done, and they say no.
We've got in here that there's several things in here where it's local fire departments, local.
Okay.
It's all local. This has to do more with project management and
okay.
For example, we see their site plan, and it's got 10 pages of their fire suppression detail. Okay.
We don't.
And it's just very technical, 10-page document just on fire suppression. Okay. No sense in us participating.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, it might, because it's all the latest and greatest technology, it may be slightly beyond the fire chiefs. Okay. And he says, there's a consulting firm that specializes down in Dearborn, specializes in fire suppression systems. I'm going to hire them, and it's going to cost $1,000 for this 5-hour meeting, and specifically to do that meeting.
It's a great idea.
Okay. I'm just trying to.
Well,
yeah. There will be resources at the fire department that are fully capable and up to speed, but there's going to be things that you have to reach out for people with technical expertise that might be beyond what the township has.
Okay.
but saying, I think what Kevin said, like even saying independent would mean not a township official. So we're outsourcing that. Even if the fire chief says, yeah, I understand this, we're saying
He could still, then he's the guy.
he's the independent though. Wouldn't he be working for us? Does that make sense? Independent would be the third party is how I try.
Trying not to alienate anybody local by when we go to independent. If something that we already contract for.
Independent to me means like third party, right? Not somebody who works for the township. Like you said, your guy in Dearborn, perfect example.
Yeah.
But again, if the fire chief says, yeah, I understand this, not, well, I guess.
I could just say, the
Maybe I
township
didn't
will
have-
require resources in the area of engineering.
Maybe I'm overthinking it.
You could almost just take that word out, just go right to professional, and then
We're
Yeah.
independent out.
just take independent out, and now you gotta have a professional. It could be our professional,
Yeah.
or it could be their professional.
Yeah.
You got it.
Because they could argue and say, well, wait a minute, your fire chief's not qualified.
Okay. Well, and if they feel he isn't, then we go outside to get somebody. If
Yeah.
there's a discrepancy, but I don't
I
want to alienate anybody we have here.
No, that wasn't my intent.
No,
My intent was that
independent.
there's going to be things that we're going to need outside of the
Oh,
capability.
yeah,
Absolutely,
of-
yeah.
of-
Good
of
catch. I like the
township
paragraph.
residents and volunteers.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, so we want to take independent out.
Well,
Consensus.
Quick catch, which is basically clerical, but number 3, it says Saline
Where's that?
Fire Department. Number 3 on page 2, whatever page we're on. It's right above what we're talking about.
Site maintenance.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. It's like a clerical error, but
No.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate it. I tried to catch them all.
well, there's no way you just catch them all, right?
Well, I just figured that our guys would be busy and we'd have to call them to come and put out a fire.
From Sony, yeah, we might be in.
All right, good catch.
All right.
Had to catch all those you can.
No, you're doing a great, this is great, really.
Okay, go to page 4. The next page. And based on everything, the discussion we had, I scanned and went over this again. There's a section here on setbacks, but that's not where I changed it. Because that was general. In the more specific area, nothing on 4, nothing on 5. Where did I get to my setbacks here? Oh, no, it's later. Okay, go to page 6. Setbacks, specifics on setbacks are on page 7. Okay, we're on page 6.
Okay.
All right, I did a lot of reading, internet and other ordinances on decommissioning. Turns out with these, it's not just about a 40 or 42 year solar project. And at the end, you assume it's going to go to the end and it's going to be decommissioned. Things can, most likely will happen with these, and you need some teeth in your decommissioning plan that for whatever reason, quality, technology, faulty workmanship or whatever, things happen repeatedly. You need to have some language that gives you the ability to exercise some authority over this in your township. So I'm going to read this decommissioning to you. Okay. A decommissioning plan that is consistent with agreements reached between the applicant and other landowners of participating properties, and that ensures the return of all participating properties to a useful condition, similar to that which existed before construction, including removal of above surface facilities and infrastructure that have no ongoing purpose. The decommissioning plan shall include, but is not limited to, financial assurance from the parent company and the related LLC or LLCs. We thought it was important that the parent company is also held liable. In the form of a bond, a parent company guarantee, or an irrevocable letter of credit. The amount of the financial assurance decommissioning fund shall not be less than 125% of the estimated cost of decommissioning the energy facility and land restoration as calculated by a third party with expertise in decommissioning hired by the applicant. There are professionals that calculate these, actuaries at large accounting firms that can calculate this out and time and almost like an actuary. And whatever number they come up with, the required escrow is 125% of that. Okay. To account for inflation, changes in Environmental Protection Agency, unforeseen changes in regulations.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm comfortable with that.
That's pretty common, that bond for that, right? And that's pretty common. You have to see that.
Question, do we want to have a clause in there that it is, what's my term, reevaluated every, say, 3 years, 4 years, a time period where you reevaluate?
Yes.
Yeah, because if they do a bond now, 10 years from now.
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking at a 20 to 25.
Well, inflation to go crazy, 15% for 10 years in a row, and all of a sudden,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, keep in mind too, that they're depreciating this stuff to, over, what is it, 15-year period to 12% of the total values.
I would think though, if you're paying a guy to come in and come up with this figure, he's gonna take that into consideration, isn't it? Or no?
Yeah,
Can you
you
really
really, they
10 years
do,
down the road?
but it's only historical. The biggest variable is the historical inflation rate. So things can happen. That would be a variable that would be out of their control. If we had a period of late 70s inflation of 17–18%.
So you're thinking you put some kind of time frame in?
Well, it's probably fair to every 2 years or every 3 years, evaluate the decommissioning escrow fund for appropriate. I'll put that in there. Decommission budget to be reviewed Every 3 years.
I think 3 years is plenty. I don't think any earlier than that would show much, but
3 years, okay. Fair enough. All right, if you go down to E, it's fire safety compliance plan. Now, we had a lot of discussion, and toward the end of the meeting, some parts of the discussion came up that triggered a part of this project that I hadn't thought about. There's new technology, there's new things coming in, and there was also a recommendation from the planning commission to put this. I expanded on it a bit, and I'm going to explain why. New technology coming in. Well, it's being imposed on us. You have to pay for it. Our guys that put out fires have to be trained. That costs money. You have to pay for that. Then my thinking grew. These are small townships. It's not unusual for another township's resources to be called in an emergency. When we had a straw fire over here with 200 acres, there were 3 townships, fire departments from 3 townships there.
Yep.
We can't be in a situation where we have a very distinct type of event, fire event at a battery in Thetford, and for Vienna Township, Genesee Township, and Forest Township to say, we'd love to help you, but we have received no training to come and help you. Okay, so with that in mind, let me read what I put in here. Fire safety compliance plan. Safety plan to be NFPA 855 compliant must include operator funded firefighter equipment and training, emergency response plan, and annual training on the emergency response plan. Such plan shall document and verify that the system and its associated controls and safety systems are in compliance with the fire code. The best operator shall pay Thetford, Vienna, Genesee, and Forest Townships all expenses for hardware, software, and training required related to the fire compliance systems. The fire suppression systems are to be pre-approved by township fire officials. Best operators must provide annual training to the fire departments in Thetford, Vienna, Genesee, and Forest Townships. The last sentence is something about hydrogen fluoride that we brought up that doesn't go here, but it was late and I didn't know where to put it, so I put it here. And I got to put it somewhere else, but it has to do with hydrogen fluoride, HF monitoring and detection systems to be installed with automatic emergency shutdown when HF levels exceed regulated minimums. So I already put myself a note on there where to locate it. But anyway, like some discussion on this, and I'd like to think it's a good catch, that we're not, on this particular thing, we're not a Thetford vacuum operating on ourselves. We may have to call on other adjoining townships.
You would.
And something that's very specific that they say, we haven't had that, we don't know.
No, I really like the system. I was hoping though, I mean, I would have liked to had a way to, we're in an unusual situation. We have an authority. Very few departments have that. And I would actually prefer that the training went through us, the authority. We will train the other departments. You're paying for it, but we're training versus because I potentially see a situation that says, hey, you got all that money, but well, we need training, but we don't have that truck. We don't even have equipment that could carry that stuff to there. Where we have a lot of this stuff. So I mean, the training part is cool. But I don't want to obligate, I just don't want to pour money into other departments. I'd rather pour the money into our departments.
I see what you're saying.
Because they could say, okay, well, I can't fight that fire unless you buy me a truck, $500,000. And our authority is going to say, what the fuck? You're going to, this is in our district, but you are going to let, so I don't know how you would manage to make this happen, but I'm just saying that would be my concern is all. I don't know how to make that right either.
Well, let me tell you, John, the way you described it is the way I had it in mind when I wrote it.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't thinking there's $1 million and it gets evenly divided between 4 townships, $250,000 a piece. And good luck, you guys, go find some training. I had envisioned that it's all funneled through here.
That's how if there was some wording you could say that it somehow that would be better.
We supply the training.
Because I could just see a couple of these departments that are underfunded saying, well, wait a minute, you need to find a way to make this happen for us. And
Good catch.
that's my only concern because, the city of Clio, Vienna and Thetford, we put a lot of money into the department, have very nice equipment. But it costs, just what you're saying. It's gotta,
I think Genesee and Vienna also have good equipment, don't they?
Vienna is part of our authority. Vienna, Clio and Thetford. We're an authority together. We buy all our equipment together, all of it.
Clio's in Vienna Township.
But they're a separate identity technically. The city of Clio.
Does Clio have their own fire department?
No, they pay into the authority.
So when you see this fire department that says Vienna, that's Clio.
Yeah, normally they're supposed to say Clio area, but when they're saying that, they're Thetford, Vienna, and the city of Clio. So that authority. So anyways, all I'm suggesting is that some way you would make sure the funneling funnels through our authority.
I can change the wording. It's easy. The best operator shall pay for blank in coordination with the best operator at Thetford Township for this that will be done for these townships. Okay, I can.
Yep, that's all, just so that we're coordinating it. And including the training, we have in Vienna, we have enough room for doing training there, so we could incorporate the training, but we should, recoup the cost of setting up that training and everything because.
Yeah, if it goes to the Clio Fire Authority initially, and then the officials from our fire department, so to speak, can determine who in the outlying departments will need the training, because that shifts all the time too, depending on who's changing,
Yes.
what departments are changing and what capabilities. Genesee Township has solar in their township. So they may already have training on solar and battery systems. It's possible. Mount Morris Township has solar facilities. So they may have the training.
Yeah.
So there could be some that you don't really have to reach out to yet. I doubt, Forest doesn't. Montrose that does support us depending on where the event is, but we're basically talking Thetford, but we do get support from Millington,
Oh, yeah,
from Birch Run.
that's right. We have a mutual aid agreement. If we call them, they're coming, and we do the same.
Should I include Mount Morris Township?
Is there a way to word it? And I'm just
Regional,
rolling off, yeah. If we were
I was gonna
to
say
say
adjoining townships.
the funding,
All adjacent townships.
regional fire departments. Because then that puts you within proximity.
yeah. If
I'm thinking like adjacent, adjoining, it's who are we gonna call? We're not gonna call Lansing, we're not gonna call Grand Rapids. Well, we might call Arbela, we might call
Yes.
Genesee, we might call Forest. You're not calling Bad Axe, you're calling adjoining or adjacent townships. And my vision wasn't dividing up money and saying, hey, guys, go get some training on BESS. You guys go. And then 6 months later, how to go, yeah, we spent the money on a pizza party and we didn't we didn't get around to it. Or they got a different set of training, had a different understanding. So then all of a sudden you guys are tripping over each other. That's not what they told us. No, my vision is there's a 40-hour training this week and it's in this room right here. And it's gonna be full of fire peoples from all.
You could word it, our mutual aid partners,
There you go.
because we only have mutual aid with certain departments, but not everyone.
There you go.
If that sounds reasonable.
There you go.
Mutual aid. There's some that won't share with us, huh?
No, well, by proximity, just what you said. Now, see, we have a ladder truck. So we will send our ladder truck, occasionally we have sent it farther than just our local partners, but it's because they didn't have a ladder truck and they had a 5-story building. But normally it's just our local mutual aid is our area here. Although if you called us from Fenton and said, we got a fire, we would send a crew if they were out of control,
So when you see Thetford, Vienna, Genesee, and Forest, and understand what I had in mind based on, does that seem like I included somebody that shouldn't be included, or did I exclude somebody that should be?
It just, because the language is gonna be in there, my only concern is someone from one of these other departments are gonna say, well, where's my piece of this pie? Because it's in there. So, that's all my concern is. Our department should funnel the resources, in my opinion, to training and everything through there somehow. I don't know how you're gonna word that, but you're absolutely right. If there's a fire and they call mutual aid, we're gonna have somebody come that don't know what they're doing in a battery storage system. So they are gonna have to be trained, but I just don't like I would rather have it funneled through our chiefs doing set up the training and decide what departments need to have what. I want him to do that. I want him to say, look, they already got a nice truck. All they need is foam or they need this. So rather than leave it, I would rather have somebody within our department initiating all of them transition somehow.
What if we change the word to, the sentence to read, and I'm going back up to where we have the best operator shall pay Clio Area Fire Authority all expenses for hardware, software, and training required related to all fire compliance systems. Then that allows the fire authority to, whatever required training, and that could automatically under their jurisdiction reach out to.
I'm fine with that as long as it extends to be able to use for mutual aid too. I don't want them to think, I also don't want them to think that, no, it's just for you. I want them to understand that it is to help train, but we need to initiate it somehow. But I like that, Kevin, that part is that
We want to use the term Clio Area Fire.
you gotta use the fire authority.
That's the official-
because that way
that combines.
you don't have to put Vienna, Thetford, and it's the authority
Is that
is,
the Clio Area of Fire Authority?
yes,
Is the umbrella organization for Thetford, Clio, and Vienna?
that's right.
Right, correct.
Yeah, maybe we can come back and revisit. I mean, I'm not looking for an ordinance to pass tonight. You know, we're gonna do a lot of review on this, I think, before we get there. But somehow, maybe it would help to have a conversation with Chief Bronson and say, how would you pull this together to best cover your department and related? So how would you write the language?
And he's gonna be involved in all of this. If one of these get applied, he's gonna be, involved in all of it. Because he's gonna make sure that we're compliant with the road, everything that's gotta happen with that. All the stuff that you listed in there, he's gonna be the guy that's gonna go out there and say, did this happen or didn't that happen? Because we're gonna confirm it, because we're not gonna sign off until he does. So.
So let me revisit the spirit and intent of that paragraph.
Yeah, maybe.
We're having discussion here about the administration and the funding. Set that aside for a second.
Okay.
Think about when all hell breaks loose and the alarms are going off. There are no township dividing lines with a catastrophic event that could affect things within 50 to 75 miles. So what my thinking is, and your preparation for an event like that comes down to your training and the clarity and the effectiveness of your training. Every industry, the best prepared for unfortunate events, do the best in when those happen. So my thinking, and I agree, we got to reword it, but I don't want to lose the spirit intent of what I was coming from at. When something big happens, for the sake of not only our township, but anybody impacted in a wide sweeping area, we want to be prepared with a list of who is prepared, who's the cavalry that we can call to come help, because they've received the same training. They're like-minded. They were in the same room. They had the same training. They know how to hit the ground and help solve the problem.
I agree.
Not who paid for it or how was it paid for, or somebody paid 10. That's all got to be worked out in the administration part. I'm talking about the best training and preparation for a catastrophic event. That's what I got to rethink on how to word that. But that was the spirit intent of what to capture there.
No, I think you're right on
That
target.
it's not only Thetford. this needs to include the surrounding area, because this isn't just gonna be a Thetford problem.
Oh,
This
no.
is gonna be a widespread.
And that, yep, and that's where, I mean, the chief, someone's gonna, there may be some training already for that kind of event. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, and we may not be capable of even doing it here. You may have to go somewhere. I just wanted who was ever administrating it.
Yeah.
But I agree, the other departments are gonna need it as well. Oh, yeah, we're not gonna be, our two stations aren't gonna handle
Yeah.
stuff.
I mean, I'm thinking, 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday night and the holy crap happens and you're calling Genesee Township and they're saying, you guys should have invited us to the training. We could come help you. Sorry, I'm going to bed. We're not touching that battery stuff. We don't know anything about it. That's not the time to find out that you weren't prepared.
Well, I think it doesn't, maybe I got a misconception, but the fire chief, assistant chief, they are normally the incident commanders, the ICs at a site, at a scene.
Yep.
And I know years ago, they had the command center that they would set up on anything that is major. They would call in the coordinators, like North Fire, South County Fire. And you'd have chiefs from various departments, and they are all up to snuff on who has this, who has this, who has this. Where can I get this? I need this, I need this. They know where to, kind of like a central nervous system, they know where to draw the resources from that they need. And these are the people that are the fire chiefs and that are associated with each other through the county.
Yeah.
Chief Bronson, if he needs a certain piece of equipment, he knows what department would have it. The same for that they know us, that we have an aerial ladder. So they know if Forest needs an aerial ladder or Montrose needed an aerial ladder, they know to call Clio and get just the aerial ladder, for support. All these chiefs, they communicate with each other very, very well.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe they do. I want to just get us to think a little bit into the future. Our training and preparation right now, we have a lot of homes and we have barns. Okay. Think about a big city like Atlanta or Chicago or New York City or Los Angeles, San Francisco. The training required in those fire municipalities isn't more or less important. It's just different. And what's being proposed here or proposed and imposed at Thetford Township is a level of industrialization that we haven't been faced with. This is a different set. This isn't just approving building another bigger house. This is different. And this requires different levels of communication, training, and preparation. And I'm trying to capture something that this area isn't caught off guard. And we end up spending the next 5 years afterwards doing what should we have done in advance so that doesn't ever happen again, which happens in so many catastrophic events around the world. What should we have done? The lengthy study and the aftermath after you realize you weren't prepared.
Well, I think that's why you're on target here of getting them to have the fund available. We just gotta figure out how we're gonna.
Yeah,
How
I'll put something there.
we're gonna work that out.
Would John, being on the fire authority, you be able to set up a meeting maybe with Chief Bronson and Gary and yourself? And
Anytime.
sit down and just go through this section with Chief Bronson.
Sure, and it'll help me to understand the relationship between fire departments of adjoining townships that he communicate. He might say, no, never talk to those guys, or no, we talk on a regular basis. Maybe there's some association, maybe they get together for a quarterly meeting. I don't know. I'm just thinking this is bigger than just Thetford Township when something happens.
Yeah.
Okay. Please turn to the next page, page 7. And this ties in with incidents. If you go down to Roman numeral 9, it's the letter I followed by X. It's 63% down the page. And it reads, fines per incident are $1,000 per day for the first incident, $5,000 per day for the second incident, and $10,000 per day for the third and egregious incidents. The permit can be suspended or revoked by Thetford Township in the event of repeated or serious violations. Thetford Township can force decommissioning for chronic noncompliance, safety violations, safety incidents, and abandonment. An annual compliance review meeting is required to verify insurance, bonds, safety plan updates. I changed the letter. It should be updates, incident reports, and training records. The best operator must reimburse the township for all attorney fees and court costs to enforce compliance. This is a section I was alluding to that during the manufacture, it doesn't matter whether it's an assembly plant, a locomotive manufacturing plant, an Apple phone computer plant. There's different level of construction company inequality and problems can happen. And they're not all created equal. We don't know if it would be the best in the world, even the best in the world can make mistakes, or a low budget construction company. We don't know. Okay. However, we need to protect ourselves. And we're not going to sit here for 15 years or 20 years or 30 years and have annual events and become the laughing stock of and have no teeth that we can't do anything about it. The residents are filling this room up and screaming. How many fires are you guys going to allow before you finally realize enough is enough? So I wanted some teeth in this thing. And this is not uncommon language. It's not Gary Tilson language. It's not, it's common to say, if the track record of this battery energy storage system gets to a point where it's proven that it's a problem, I'll say in simple terms, meaning recurring events, threats to the community, and there's no sign of improvement or turning around. After the third event, we can impose immediate decommissioning.
All right.
Okay, we're not bound when we sign that permit to take whatever you give forever. We have to have the ability to say, no, enough is enough. You've proven that this is the threat to our community exceeds any potential benefit.
Oh, I like that insurance policy.
And then right below that, also on page 7, setbacks. And this was based on what we all had come up with. Type 2 battery energy storage systems shall be set back at least 300 feet from road right-of-way lines and all property lines, and are required to be set back a minimum of half a mile from residents, schools, and public buildings. And that was what we agreed to in the last meeting. So I put that in there. And based on our over hour-long discussion in the last meeting, that's what the ordinance has been updated with.
Okay, that's the last one.
That's the last change. That captured all the recommendations. My takeaway from our discussion here is that we need to, I got a couple typos, and I gotta give some thought to the refinement and of the spirit and intent in the wording, how to include a wider scope, municipalities with a wider scope. And I will do that.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think you understand what we're looking for. It should be great.
That's the end of my review.
Nice work.
Thank you. No, you put time into it, Gary. Appreciate it.
Good job, Gary. It's,
So exciting stuff, huh? But you can be passionate about things that are important to you.
yeah, on fencing requirements on part E.
What page?
I don't know the page, it's right after it.
I'm the only one that got page numbers.
I numbered mine.
I numbered mine.
I'll keep this long, so.
Just continue on the next page after setbacks.
Okay, that'll be page 8 then.
8.
It's a,
Fencing requirements. You got the self-locking gate, unauthorized access. Would we want to put, when we get down to emergency vehicle access, do we want to look at requiring a Knox box?
We will,
Some kind of, or would that be something that we'll just?
but I
pick up?
think But
pick up down the road and not have to really put in this.
I don't think we're gonna need it there, but I think that's gonna be a requirement.
Mm-hmm.
I think the chiefs, that's gonna be, that might already be in the
The
code
fire code.
that they have to.
Kevin, the reason I didn't include that is because I assumed that when all of the umbrella organizations that have are going to be providing input on their fire compliance requirements, then that's going to be captured. I thought that if I start picking one, then why am I not picking the other 300?
Yeah,
Because there's a lot of them.
Yeah,
well, that's something I guess too, that should they come to us for site plan review of planning, we could put that in as a
Yeah.
requirement. During that time period, pick up on some of the extras.
I gotta imagine that's gonna be pretty code here soon. I mean, or they're just gonna bust your fence in. I mean, they're gonna rip it
but
off.
they'll,
Yeah,
you know, once we get to that point, the chief will be involved in that site plan. He'll be all involved in that, in their compliance with, you know, just the code you put in it. And I'm hoping we'll have like finished adopting the International Fire Code at this point by then. So they'll have to be, gonna have to be in compliance with all that, so. And access will be one of the compliant things. However, you're gonna have access, and for us, it's an Oxford.
very good, Gary. Okay.
That concludes my review.
Again,
Again, when you get to a point where we're all in agreement with everything, I can ship it off to Caitlin for review, which then in turn, she takes it to the township attorney for him to put a pair of eyeballs on before it comes back to us for a final decision. So I guess what I'm trying to.
So here's my question for you based on that. We have two options. The main thing I see that I need to change is that paragraph, and I think without a meeting and with the fire chief and all this, I think I can I can capture the spirit and intent of that with that discussion and modify that paragraph that's agreeable. We can wait till the next meeting. That's 30 days from now. Or I can make that change in the next day or two, email it to each one of you, including Amby. And via email, if you guys are all right, everybody gives a thumbs up to it, then Kevin sends it off to Caitlin.
Send it to Caitlin.
yeah, I think that's a great idea. That way you expedite the.
I don't think it requires 30 days.
Yeah, I want to move it, you know, as much as we can, because we've got a lot of other business on the horizon
Yeah.
for planning. Yeah, if you don't have a problem making the changes, you know, within the next week and circulate it to everybody to eyeball.
Yeah.
And we get a consensus, it won't be an official
I might do
meeting, but it'll just be, yeah, I like what I see.
Well, you're gonna run it through the
For
attorney
changes.
So
Yeah,
you're gonna bring it back after that anyhow.
yeah, it goes to Caitlin, and then Caitlin, any ordinance that we do to Caitlin, she passes it to Gilner to look at. Then he comes back to her with any suggestions he has, then she brings all that back to us. So it makes a circle.
But,
you know.
But I'm all for that, expediting as much as we can. I'd rather have this in place when somebody shows up.
Yeah.
Then,
I got a lot of stuff coming at me in the next couple of weeks. So if I don't do this either tonight or tomorrow night, it's good. So I'm gonna do it pretty zippy because I got way too much coming at me. So and these aren't major changes, so I can 30 minutes, I'll have it done. Do you want me to send it to you individually or send it to Amby and she redistributes?
Either whichever way you like to do it, doesn't matter.
She could Kevin.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me either. However, you've got everybody's access to everybody's email.
Yeah.
Or if you don't, Amby does, so, you know, or I do, so.
Jason will be at a disadvantage. I'll offer to him if he wants to call me for more one-on-one so that he can get up to speed because he won't be familiar with this discussion at the place. I'll offer that. You'll see that in the email. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and then he could also pick up the video given to watch too for the discussion to fill in anything, questions he's got. All right. Okay. We've got a plan. You know what we're gonna do.
Okay, any more discussion on that? Or we finished with the best system discussion?
I'm good with that.
Okay, well, the rest is easy. We have a status update on zoning ordinance 78 review project. We're gonna meet at the senior center on April 27th, 6 p.m. And it's gonna be a hybrid meeting. It's gonna be partially Zoom with Caitlin. And I don't know if any of the other committee members are gonna video in or be present, but the system doesn't work good here for two-way conversations. So April is gonna get us access to the senior center that evening. And that's a Monday, I believe,
Okay, right in the senior center.
right in the senior
Okay.
center. We're gonna use their main
Right here.
room.
I thought you meant the hall over here.
Oh, no, it's the senior, see, not the Grange Hall, senior center,
That's a little more civilized.
you know. So that's where that is.
Kevin, can you refresh my memory on what the zoning ordinance 78, that project is about?
That's our zoning, our massive zoning ordinance that we use here.
Oh, that's the one that's been
consistently,
updated since
it's gonna be updated
1989.
to agree with our master plan.
Okay,
This guy from 1989.
and you already have a committee working on
Yeah, there's been our board of trustees, oh gosh, it's been almost a year ago, appointed a committee to work on it. And then we appointed the committee, and then what we had to do was Caitlin had to take the entire ordinance, go through it, pick it apart, and make sections to review. And that's what we're doing now. We go through section by section that she's highlighted that needs to be addressed, to be updated. Some of it's fine, just like it is, there's not any big changes. Some of it does have to be brought up to what current standards are, and they weren't 30 years ago.
when Caitlin's involved in that
16.
project as well.
Caitlin's been running that project for almost a year now.
Okay,
And so she's been involved, on and off, and when we have committee meetings are necessary, and she sets up, Caitlin sets up the meeting date and time. She's taking command of that, so that we can fit her schedule and the rest of us try to flex in. So that's coming on the 27th. Last week, Thursday, just before the Easter break, we got a update from the Gray Road County Line gas canopy plan, which I sent you all just the only copy that I got, and it appears that they've moved the gas canopy to the east side of the building rather than the south side. And our building inspector and Vicky are working with the engineer to get some more details on it, because we picked up that it was different. I went back through our past minutes when we discussed this. We did a rezoning, and it got approved by the Board of Trustees. We tabled the site plan review, because if you remember, we were waiting on environmental reviews because of the Dead Creek running on two sides of the property. And also they were gonna move the driveway, put a driveway in farther south. I have not talked to him, nobody's talked to him yet. Vicky sent back some memos to get back with us on why they changed the plan, to let them know that we will almost, it appears we'll be starting all over on a reviewing a different site plan than what they had for us. They had the color pictures and everything, and I'm gonna make a rash assumption. It looks like the fuel tanks are still in the same spot. They did not, this little print didn't show where their filtration system is specifically. It looks like it's maybe still located in the same spot over on the west side of the building, but I don't know for sure. So until we get more information, and hopefully have some information by the next meeting, I told them that Vicky communicated with them that they'll have to more or less start the site plan review over again. If you've got the packet from last April 2025 with our minutes, if you want to review that and see what we discussed with them specifically. And the big color prints are in the office here. Building inspector Matt has them from a year ago for his review. we'll coordinate it and see what happens, but right now it's up in the air, but tentatively, we may see this come back to us next month. I don't know how, construction season's coming, so I don't know how soon they want to expedite.
Interesting to see why they did that, because those pumps were on the side. They were not in front of the store, they were on the side.
On the south and
And now they're in front.
I remember the picture.
Remember?
Yeah, now they've moved them over here. to
I
the
wonder
east
if-
side.
Be interesting to know why they
In
did
between the
that.
building and the road.
Yeah,
Yes.
Are they gonna make them put a curb in there?
Well, I don't know now, because I don't know how far that is, but you potentially got a situation, people pulling out of the far pump. And they could be right on the Bray Road, which, people drive down there. I mean, so things have, that's kind of changed the game a little.
yeah, their diagram almost looks like they have the tanker truck backing in to the tanks off of Bray Road, and I really don't like the idea of that. So we're gonna probably have a pretty good discussion with them, when we do get to that point.
50 feet right away, well, see. Yeah.
It reminds me, if you drive around, the picture I see here reminds me of the marathon station that's across the street from Auto City Racetrack on Saginaw Road.
Yes,
Because they seem to, that place, you pull in off the road, aiming right at the building when you get gas. And then there's a tight turn to crank around in front of the building to get back out of there. And it almost looks like the same setup.
This doesn't even have a curb.
No, I know, and
you see the
there
50 feet
again,
right away.
That's just an open.
that's why we would get into,
And when we're,
have to do a lot more.
yeah, because if they're saying 50 feet, that's from the center of the road. So this little 50 feet that looks like it's 50 feet is really in the center of the road.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like 20.
And the other thing I think is unusual about this is, why is there two parcels? Why wouldn't those parcels been combined a while ago? So you got a separate parcel going down the middle of the building. Parcel 1 and parcel 2.
Yeah, I see that on their sketch, and
Yeah, and I think that should be a requirement that you combine them parcels into one parcel.
if I remember correctly, there actually is 3 parcels there when you get down to where the creek is.
Oh, is it? Yeah, well, that could be,
But they're not showing that because they're not going, in this new drawing, they're not going down to the creek.
I'm only just concerned with that arrangement right there,
Yeah.
because theoretically, somebody gets in a fight with somebody and he sells a parcel 1. Well, what the hell? Now, what do you do?
You own 3/4 of the store.
Yeah, you gotta have to store, so,
That likely wouldn't happen.
no.
No.
But, I think it'd be in our interest to make sure it's one parcel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And which be they could do that right here in the office, combine the legal. And,
There's a funny real estate story about that.
yeah, when we rezoned it, we rezoned all 3 parcels at one time. So we included the 3rd parcel, as far as rezoning, but I don't recall catching the division on
I
it.
didn't notice it before either. That's why I was surprised to see it right there.
In my opinion, in fairness to the company, we should hear them out on
Yeah.
why such a
Right.
drastic change. I will
Yeah.
tell you, as I look at this and I reflect on the picture they showed us before on the south side, the pumps on the south side, it was a large area. It was spacious. It was easy to turn around. I was picturing being able to pull in there with a truck and a trailer,
Mhm.
and it would be convenient. There was a lot of space.
Yes.
This is a different customer experience here. This is a very small area in between the front of the building and the road. It's congested and it's somewhat limiting. And it's a different logistics flow for a filling station because the other ones, I'm not waiting in line. This is more a first in, first out.
Mhm.
Whereas the other one, you had options. I suspect it's probably due to cost for the excavation.
Yeah.
But we should still
We
look
should.
into what they
I
have.
agree.
Yeah, when I talked to Matt, he was advising him that, we're gonna have to pretty much start completely over with a site plan, and I guess the first question would be, why did you change?
Yeah.
And then, okay, start at square one and explain this new one to us.
So the other one, for example, this is how stations used to be. It is a low cost model, but if you're the car in the middle and you're done filling up and the guy in front of you and the guy behind you are having credit card problems in the building and they're in there for 8 minutes, you're having a bad day.
Yeah. I'd be upset. I've seen that in there shooting the shit,
There's
getting the
nowhere-
pop,
there's
getting the
no-
golf,
there's no-
stuck in the middle pump.
you're late for work and you're trapped. So it's a different customer experience for sure.
Now, Kevin, you thought parcel 3 was behind?
Parcel 3, I believe is south to the
Yeah.
bottom.
That's what I wondered. See, I think in parcel 3 was over here and maybe they're eliminating parcel 3, but it doesn't matter. We can hear what they have to say, but if parcel 3 was here, you'd have all kinds of room on the side of the building where they were gonna be, but now you don't. So,
I'm not quite sure the accuracy of this map, too. It leaves a lot to be desired. But I'm pretty sure that the original plot map parcel 3 was to the south, and that was the area that bordered, the border of parcel 3 was Dead Creek on the west side and south side. And that's also the area where the ground dropped off and would necessitate a lot of fill to bring it up level. And that may be part of what this
no, yeah,
what
maybe.
this is too. I don't know, it's so small and so compact, it's not very detailed. Even put it on a computer screen and magnifying it was not giving me a whole lot of what they're talking about.
Well, we're gonna bring them back anyway, right? So,
Right, they have to,
yeah.
we tabled the site plan even on the first plan, so they still have to come back to us.
Cool.
The only thing they got was the rezoning, and that was a 2-year limitation to begin construction.
Okay.
So they've already got 1 year gone. So we do have to force them back. I did tell Vicky that because we tabled it, we're not going to charge them for another site plan review. They've already paid that fee.
Sure.
The other fee they paid was for the rezoning. We and the board of trustees both took care of that, so. Okay, that's it.
All right.
We have no new business. Sorry for luck, other than if you want to call this maybe new business, if they come back. With that being said,
You included this just as information only, the
Oh.
consumers energy survival.
yeah, I threw that in. This was the presentation that Consumers gave us with any details, and they are supposedly going to set up a meeting here in April with the building inspector, the planning commission chair, and the township supervisor to go over some more details. So until they meet with us, they did put in here, I just wanted to share what this is all they gave to us pretty much. We had this meeting. They did have a timeline on here where they predict what they're gonna do going through the MPSC approval. They plan on filing for their plan in June of 2026. And gonna have what they termed was prosperity meetings would be public, discussions to roll it out. So they made their announcement in March, and it just, some of the news media picked it up, some of them did. I made sure it went on 3 Facebook pages and
I just received
Rachel
an
put it
email
on the
from them
map.
that said they were announcing the MSPC approved. I thought it was this. But if you're saying they're not applying until June,
Yeah.
so the MSPC approved, maybe it was their. I know they have to go for what they want rate increases.
Well,
Yeah.
Could be that
that's probably the rate increase.
the rate
There
increase.
was one just approved.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's probably their announcing.
yeah, their timeline was the news media announcement in March. And then they were gonna file in June, but they wanna meet with us to see what we've got before they apply to the state where we're at. And some of the questions was zoning. I've tried to go back and research 2013 when they first proposed the idea for the power plant to the previous board at that time. And I find very, very little information as far as what was the township's intent. I did do a quick study test, and I don't know, I don't want to get you guys too involved in it tonight, but I'll call it part of my board member comments then instead of new business. I looked up the property. The property is zoned agricultural that they want to use for this power plant. There is agricultural allows
electrical substations, but it doesn't address power plants specifically. I believe John told me that, the substation that was there actually was a diesel or oil fired generating
Yes,
station of some kind. I'm going to go with that reasoning that it was, since it was oil, it probably was prior to any zoning ordinances in the township, which would have negated, ag property wasn't ag property then, it would just do whatever you want, more or less. And now that it's been that it's zoned ag, it doesn't really fit. The proposal I put to the building inspector to look at is, maybe we would have to rezone it to industrial zoning classification. And under our present ordinance, and since we are going through it, that could be updated before this plan ever hits the surface anyway. If we've zoned it to industrial, it gives us a lot more teeth as far as air pollution requirements, groundwater, noise, visual. It gives us a whole different set of criteria rather than just trying to fit it in and say, well, you can put these in agricultural, it's no big deal. I think, and I hate the thought of spot zoning, but this is roughly 85 acres that they've got. It's the old laydown site where they had the pipeline project.
Yeah.
They packed it all down and they built a berm on the south side. And
staging the pipeline
out
out there. Staging the pipeline operation right next to the old generating plant.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
the
just drove
ground
out
is
today.
already all compacted, cleared and everything.
Yeah.
And when they did the pipeline, they just so happened to run that brand new pipeline right through that place.
Right there.
It's almost like
24-inch
they-
natural gas line just happens to go right through there.
Yeah, it just, so my crystal ball was thinking, they run that through there for some reason, because rather than continue it straight, they deviated over through here and then turned and went south, so.
Now we
But
know.
a little point to think of if on rezoning is rumor has it that there's already been leased property around there.
There
Couple of
is,
tens that have been leased around there. So you have to ask yourself, what do they plan to do next to the generating plant? And if you zone it commercial, are they also obligated to zone them commercial
you mean industrial?
or industrial? Yes. I'm just throwing this out
Yeah.
because I could see the step two.
Yeah, my thought is, you want to be careful, and this is something that we've got to discuss in depth.
Yeah.
Before we get to that point. Yeah, my thought was too, is if we do a conditional rezoning as far as the consumers would be, we could specify that, if they decide to pull the plug on the power plant, then the rezoning to industrial reverts back to agricultural, and they can't flip it for somebody else for an asphalt plant or something else,
Right.
Yeah, like it.
And we did throw up at this little conference meeting about water usage, and tried to open the door to extend the county water line ends at Dodge or at Francis and Genesee Road, a mile south. And kind of put the bug in their ear about them paying to extend the water line a mile north to service this. It's going to be a natural gas steam generating plant. So they're going to be using, a lot of water to create their steam. I don't know how many, we didn't get that deep into the details.
Yeah, we're not there yet, but
So this could be something that we could push to them that, part of the requirement is they have to extend the water line. Is there again, like John pointed out, if we rezone this part industrial, do we have to, are we expected to do it for others? There again, we gotta be really careful. There is a company that has 30 acres right directly south of that connects to it. That is owned by a private company. And when I try to trace them, they're all over the United States, and it says they're a foreign corporation. but it doesn't, I want to say it's Blue Sky Ventures or something is the name of it, which,
Mystery
and
company.
nothing comes back when you Google Blue Sky Ventures.
Well, that's what I'm a little concerned with, that site could be an industrial area very easily.
Yeah.
If you're not careful.
Here comes our data center, you know.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was.
Well, that's my thought here too, is if we're gonna build this power plant so we can, you know, supposedly their initial discussion was that, this is gonna be an on-demand type facility that, as the grid requires more electricity, they'll fire it up. It's gonna have a crew manning it anyway. I mean, you know, not, it won't be just to sit there and somebody run in and turn the switch on. You know, when they need to, they'll have a crew stationed there, full time. But, my thought was too, you know, will they use it for battery storage too? You know, demand's not up, but we'll run it, store up some batteries, you know.
And then if you're bringing in, you know, water in, well, now you're opening up for data center a lot easier.
Yeah.
Because now.
So I don't know. There's a lot of
Think
things.
about in there.
That's why, you know, my intent was to kind of throw it at you guys a little bit in discussion tonight and just say, you know, start thinking of some ideas, you know. Look around. Come up with some ideas.
This is just a larger scale of what they're already doing on the corner of Dodge and Irish Road, isn't it?
Dodge and Irish is a, isn't that a gas, say.
That's just a pumping station?
Pumping station like to bring up the pressure to.
Yeah, I think
push the
it's
gas
just a
along.
boost station.
Yeah, booster station.
But the pressure's low, so they're bumping it up so they can get it out farther.
Yeah.
This is gonna be an actual generating power plant.
How many acres?
They have in that section, they have about 200 acres if you count in what their power lines are. Because they own the long strips with all the towers on it.
Does it bring jobs to the area, long-term jobs?
Yes,
I think that's not
they did say that they would have a crew permanently assigned to there.
Mhm.
And they also would have their own, fire prevention crew, specialists or whatever, you know, which negates have to have, their own on-site little fire brigade or whatever.
Yeah, in the plant.
Within the plant, you know, similar to what we used to have at Buick.
Yeah.
You know, but, of course, they're not gonna be able to fight it, but they'll be, you know, first line of defense maybe to hold it off till you get the regular fire department there if you have an emergency, but.
I mean, there'll be a lot of labor around here for the construction for that 4 or 5 years. That's gonna take,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a lot of labor running around, but after that, it just comes down to the maintenance crew.
Yeah, they did, and they did suggest that, yes, they would be hiring local as much as they can, however, they do have to bring some specialists in just because of what it is, you know, we don't have, it's kind of like when we had the pipeline welders, you know, these people that build these, steam turbines and stuff, they're not, you know, right on every corner out here in Thetford. I did bring up the fact that, during the pipeline project, we, Eugene Lear had the camper trailers out there. And that, they may want to approach, that family again for their workers, you know, that are coming from, because she was concerned about, housing them. And we have no motels in the Clio area, that they'd have to go up to Birch Run or Frankenmuth. And, I was trying to say, and she knows the guy that was in charge of the pipeline. So she was gonna reach out to him, see if it was possible maybe to work out a deal with the Lears again. I'm trying to keep the workers here.
Yeah.
And like I told her, I says, you know, if we can keep them here, then we actually help our businesses locally, whether maybe they'll go to Genesee and go to the restaurant in Genesee, but they may run up here and buy their munchies at, Genesee and Vienna store, you know, try to keep them like we did with the pipeline people.
Yeah. Gary doesn't need anything else to think about right now. He's kind of loaded up right now.
Oh, I know. I'm just.
No, I do. I'm thinking about this quite deeply, quite frankly. I reflect on our master plan that we spent a lot of time on. We do want long-term employment. We do want diversified growth in the area. Yes, it's spot zoning, But I think this is something that we should have a favorable tilt towards as a committee, as we get into this. I think we should approach this in a very open-minded manner.
There's gonna be a lot of perks to this. There's a lot of things you can request with this operation of, you know, road work, just a lot, even equipment. Oh, there's a lot that could come with this kind of
There's
operation.
certain industries that growth begets growth. And for example, what I'm most familiar with, you know, when an assembly plant comes into a barren community, it creates between 17 and 23 additional jobs because restaurants, hotels, other things spawn. I'm not saying that would happen from this, but it's a start. Okay, growth begets growth. So,
Yeah.
um,
Consumers has in my experience, they have a really good history of supporting the communities that they're in. You know, they don't ignore you like some other companies we've experienced already. You know, they do a lot for the community. So I like it, but then again, you know, I'm apprehensive. So, you know, I want to make sure we got everything. I really, in going through the battery storage systems, I was picking out some things that could fit consumers when they come, you know, like your fire training program, you know. Do they, you know, need to invest some money in our fire department for anything specialty that they may have?
What I was thinking there might be an angle to get some specialty equipment or something for that plant type environment.
So,
If
you know,
necessary.
I asked Eric and I've asked John, you know, if you can think back to 2013 and anything that you might be able to remember as far as how far the board of trustees went before this plan got canceled. Were you considering rezoning? Were you considering, you know?
Seems like we had some public hearings, we had some people, we have meetings here, and before we got real far, they pulled the plug and said, we're gonna do this plan in Ohio instead. And then a year or two later, they gutted the plan out just so they wouldn't have personal property laying there and pay taxes on. So they pulled all the old equipment, took all the equipment out. And so it was just the property.
Now, I did drive by there today. There's quite a few houses that are, you know, very close to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're round, but I cannot, like you said, I don't know how much land's actually of theirs
And they didn't show us a footprint of any, you know, this is the footprint we're talking about. I did find a footprint from 2013, but you know, that's, who knows if that's still a current, you know, usage, you know, I mean, we'll know a whole lot more at this next meeting, I'm hoping. Okay, but I want to just keep you guys, keep the seed planted that, you know, this is probably coming,
All right.
you know.
And we really thought it was coming last time, but now I would say that this one is probably gonna go just because the position we're at, where we're power.
Mhm.
In the US, we have quite a bit of natural gas. So potentially, if you're gonna build, you want something that's you're gonna be available, your supply source, and they got a big ass pipe going right through the property that can
Yeah.
feed it.
There's a reason that pipe
Yeah.
deviated and went through there.
So, and they already own the land, and it's in, you know, Thetford Township would not be your highest tax base area, so I would be really surprised if that plant doesn't go in.
Yeah, and they are redoing their other, part B of their plant is the Karn plant up in Bay City. It was a coal plant that they shut down. They're going to convert that to gas also. So there's two plants coming.
I think.
We just happen to get the smaller of the two. But, proposed to. Yeah, it's, like I say, I put out on the Facebook pages what I knew from the first meeting, just so that the residents got an idea that something may be coming. I don't want to get caught like we did with the solar by surprise.
Oh, it was in the paper.
You know, so I mean, just, you know, be aware that we're looking at something, but
It's gonna be some, you know, we're gonna spend some time on that one.
and you know, I'll refuse to sign a non-disclosure agreement if they bring one by. I'm sorry. You know, I'm not gonna, you know, put everybody in the dark what's gonna happen. So we have this meeting in April and there's stuff that can be thrown out for the residents, so it gets out there for sure. no secrets. It's, if it's gonna come, it's gonna come, but. And like I say, they more or less said that it'd be a 5-year plan before they're ready to turn the key and start it, so. But I don't know how soon they have to have site plan submissions and
If
get serious stuff.
if they're serious, I'm thinking they're gonna be starting all that process, with
Yeah.
everybody they gotta deal with before it gets to this point.
Anyway, thanks for letting me babble, guys.
Public comments.
You got anything, Eric?
If you want anything, we'll circle back.
You guys thought I was long-winded. Holy mackerel, man, you guys.
No.
Name and address, sir.
You guys, I think you guys did well. John, I agreed with what you were saying about the fire authority. And Gary, great job also. I think what John was basically saying is just, the training and the finances and the training and the direction for who gets what training, how and when, where and all that. Like leave it to our fire authority if we're running an ordinance for our own township. Like that was a good idea, John. And I think regional was kind of the word you guys were looking for. Or the other one was mutual aid. I think so. Regional mutual aid. I think it could be good language there. Oh, that guys did a great job. Thanks.
On that note, Eric, I think I already decided I'm gonna simplify it, with what, John and a combination of what John and Kevin both said, which is going to include the Clio Area Fire Authority, but the out is going to be related municipalities at the discretion of, that's how I'm gonna word it.
There you go.
Perfect. We're not the experts to decide what townships or municipalities to be involved,
Right.
but they know who all needs to be involved.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect solution. The chief will know, the departments that would be an asset and he can.
The best operator will fund this. And participation of local municipalities at the discretion will all be funneled through the Clio fire.
Okay, I'll close the public comments, open board comments, and I've already shot mine off, so. Gary will put you next.
I don't have much more to add. I think, sometimes I know we get windy and it's, but this is an important discussion to have. It's not comfortable. I know Jason made the comment that it's interesting what some people are passionate about. This isn't necessarily what I'm passionate about, but what I'm passionate about is fulfilling my commitments. And I said that I would do this. So I don't want you to think that, man, that guy's got strange habits. He doesn't think about battery energy storage systems. No, when he does it, it's very good. No, it's, if you, I said I would. And it's important. That's it.
Okay.
Thanks for coming, Eric. Appreciate you representing the community.
Jason, you're next.
Yeah, I don't got a whole lot to say here. Something totally unrelated. We have a job fair at the Cure Community Center. We have like 15, 20 vendors coming, and they're from Early Medical Center, Michigan State Police, Consumers Energy. Like these aren't like little things. So I'm pretty excited about that. It's really growing over there. Lots of challenges the last couple months, but working through them. And yeah, that's all I got. Nothing to do with planning, but kind of does.
Yeah.
Excited.
That's good.
John.
No, actually, I find the discussion here very good. You see different points and I think that's what it takes, so. No, I think it's all good.
Okay, well, with that, we just say thank you, everybody. Thank you, Eric, for coming. Ms. Amy, thank you for keeping her on our minutes and keeping us all straight and narrow record. And I really do enjoy the discussions. I think that's how we accomplish a lot, is we bounce a lot of ideas between each other rather than just cold cut and dry, motion this, do this, okay, next, the little discussions I think are more enlightening. With that, I make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Hey. Okay.
I feel like a fighter when to do that.
Hey.
Arr.
Yeah, like that. Maybe you turn that off.